Hi, I'm Todd from Home Construction Improvement. Today I'd like to talk to you about insulating basement walls. Finished basements are one of the most popular projects today, especially for do-it-yourselfers trying to look for some extra space in their house. And so I'd like to tell you how to do it right, and avoid some costly mistakes that lots of folks make. Insulating a basement wall is far different than insulating a regular wall. Most of us today know how to insulate a wall with fiberglass or cellulose, how to use proper vapor barriers, but when it comes to insulating against a concrete or a cement block wall, there's a huge difference. So I'd like to go over some of those basic differences and how you could insulate your concrete walls effectively yourself. So this basement here that we're going to talk about today, got some 8-foot concrete walls, some of them completely below grade, some of them partially above grade. I've got a combination of a lower knee wall that's just below grade with a stud wall above it. So these are two common situations found in most basements. The big difference between a regular wall and a concrete wall is you're fighting water vapor from two directions. Concrete itself, or cement block, is just like a sponge. If you were to look at it under a microscope, it's full of tons of micropores that are always full of water for the entire life of concrete. So assume that you're building a wall right in front of a giant sponge full of water, and then you've got to deal with the fact that it's usually cool to cold throughout the year. So very different than insulating a regular stud wall. So one of the ways that I've found to insulate these walls is using closed cell blue board or pink insulation board. So we're going to show you some steps on how to do that, how to deal with these transitions, and what steps you need to do to insulate your basement. So I hope you'll watch for some more.
One of the first things I want to take care of before we get going is insulating the rim joist that's just above the stud wall. As you can see, there's no insulation there. Oversight by whoever did this originally. At the same time, I'm going to plug all the holes with all these utilities going up through to the stairs above. Certainly helps keep down drafts and whatnot. So what we're going to do is we're going to insulate that with 2-inch foil-faced polyiso insulation board. So let me get some pieces cut. I'll show you how we tuck it up in there and then we seal it to everything. Okay, I've just finished insulating the rim joist with the 2-inch Dow Tough R polyiso foil-faced insulation. As you can see, I've taken the time to go ahead and seal all the edges with some spray foam out of a can. Great stuff, I guess is what I'm using, but there's a bunch of different brands. Pretty simple. Cut around all your utilities and press it in place. Okay, so now getting ready to insulate this stepped foundation area. There's a bunch of different ways you could do this. You could actually leave the stud wall with just fiberglass and a vapor barrier. I've removed the vapor barrier so that I can check on the insulation, fluff it up. What I'm going to do is actually install 2 inches of closed cell foam board because I'm using it elsewhere in the project, and it will act as a vapor barrier. If you have a minimum of 1.5 inches of closed cell foam, it technically acts as a vapor barrier. So I put that up here, just a few screws to hold it in place. It's really not necessary to get crazy with fastening this up. It's not going to go anywhere. We're going to frame a wall in front of it after. So I've attached that, and then I'm going to start working on the lower half. Again, I'm going to be putting 2 inches of blue board Dow insulation in front of it. And in this situation, when I put 2 inches of blue board up there, I'll have this small step. I'm going to foam the back side of this to seal it, and I'm also going to use a little bit of the foam just to use it as an adhesive. A lot of people ask questions about what kind of adhesive to use. There's lots of brands on the market, but I found that the spray foam in a can, it's extremely sticky. It sticks to anything. If you've ever had it on your hands, you'll know what I mean. A couple squirts of that should hold it in place. Sometimes you got to put a 2x4 or something against it just to hold it in place until it cures, but that will work. You don't need a lot, and so we're going to go ahead and do that. Another way you could do this is you could actually leave off the foam. You could put the blue board on the bottom, do the top edge of the shelf, and then you could actually frame your wall with a step in it and have a little shelf. We're not going to do that here. We're going to frame right in front of it all the way up to the ceiling, so I chose to do this. Okay, now I've just set up the first sheet that we're going to be doing on the wall here. And as you can see, I've cut it so that it's tight to the joist above, tight to the floor. And again, all the questions about how do you attach it to the wall, it really doesn't matter a whole lot. At least in the application we're going to use. We're going to frame a wall in front of this. The framing will keep it from falling back. Right now, we'll put some foam in the corners. I'll fill in this portion on the side over here with a piece, and then foam that, and then we're going to tape all the seams. So the key here is just to make sure it's really sealed well, and make sure that it's sealed to the insulation for the rim joist as well. Okay, you can see now that we've finished insulating the vertical tall walls in the basement. Again, 2-inch close-cell foam, and basically we've cut it so that it's tight to the top, tight to the bottom, and we've tucked it up. We've got rim joist insulation up there, foil-faced insulation, so we need to put a piece on top and foam and seal the top piece to the side rim joist and to this piece. So that's really all there is to it. The key here is sealing everything really well, using the Dow tape or Tyvek tape or something like that. That'll keep any moisture from coming through the wall panel. And then we're going to frame some walls, traditional walls in front of it. If the 2 inches of R value is not enough for your local code, you could then install some fiberglass. The reason you can do that is this has already created a vapor barrier, so no moisture is going to come from the concrete side, and the 2 inches of foam will be warm enough that any moisture that would get into the wall wouldn't condensate when it hits a cold surface. The mistake that most people make is they put poly up against a cold concrete wall. They'll put a stud wall, they'll put fiberglass. What happens is moisture, water vapor, will get into that stud wall. It'll come in contact with the cold poly, it'll condensate, and then you've got a huge mold problem. So if there's anything to learn from this, is that really fiberglass insulation should be used very sparingly in the basement. It's okay in this situation where you've either done spray foam to seal it first or use the foam board, then you can use it for additional R value, but do not under any circumstance put poly up against a concrete wall, fill the stud bay with fiberglass, and then close it up with drywall. You will have mold. Thanks, and I hope you enjoyed this quick segment on how to insulate basement walls with foam board.